This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, well, that tells us all, doesn't it? It's being recorded. This is good. So,
Yeah.
it's Michael COSHAM, isn't it? Is it COSHAM or COSHAM?
It's COSHAM.
COSHAM, brilliant. Listen, I must admit, it's really good to be talking to you all, being Zoom. And you're based in Carlisle, aren't you, Michael?
I'm based in Scotland, about 25 miles north of Carlisle.
Wow, gosh, I'm actually in the West Midlands, Solihull, by Birmingham Airport. We're about 7 miles away from Birmingham Airport.
All right, busy
45.
around there for roads, isn't it? Or maybe everything busy around there.
Oh, I tell you, they're doing so many works here, and it's just incredible. I mean, normally it would take me 10 minutes to get here from home. It's taken me 20 minutes this morning. It is what it is. But what I do want to do is actually have a chat with you, Michael, and so we met on LinkedIn, so to speak, and it's this 12-week level 3 diploma in RACHP systems that it's generating a lot of interest. Actually, I put it onto LinkedIn about how competent are you as a post, and up until now, Michael, something like 3,200 people have read it,
Really?
which is not bad, I must admit. So there's obviously an interest in there, to doing something traditionally or untraditional. I mean, normally with a level 3 diploma, it would be done at college or in a training establishment, and the engineers would actually take 1 year derelict, for example. So over a nine-month period sort of thing, they'd attend 1 day a week and they'd get their level 2 diploma, and it would actually be all at the centre at the college. So they'd have all the training materials there, all the assessment materials there, and the lads and ladies would pop in, the tutor would tutor them, get them ready for the assessments, do the assignments, and take it from them. What I'm looking at doing, and I'll get into the nitty and gritty, is basically I'm saying, well, there's a market, I think, where engineers are competent, they're in the trade, they've been there for quite some time, but they haven't got the qualifications, they haven't got the paperwork, so to speak. They can do the job, no problem at all. They're very, very competent at that. And so they know what they're doing. They just want, they want to get a certificate to prove that their competence level is a level 3. That's where, with a level 3, you can do a national qualification, NVQ level 3, or there's a diploma. And from my experience, the diploma is a lot easier to administer, and it's actually formulating part of the endpoint assessments. If you're a centre that's got engineers and they're doing the endpoint assessment, the EPA, the Engitech apprenticeship, so to speak, Michael, then what would happen is that as a stepping stone, they would do a level 2 diploma, 60-90-20. Then they could do the level 3 diploma, which is 60-90-30, and then go for the endpoint assessment. And there are centres who are doing that. They're doing level 2 diploma, level 3 diploma, or NVQ level 3, and then getting the lads and lady ready for the endpoint assessments. And for the endpoint assessments, which this is part of, although informally, it's the 60-90-50 is the endpoint assessment. And what they have to do for that, they have to get mandatory. They have to get the F-gas qualification, the 62079 category 1. That's a mandatory, and also a level 2 in English and maths. They have to get.
Really?
Once they've got that, then basically the colleges or training centres can do what they want. And some centres, I know, they said, right, we're not going to do any training at all. We're going to do some training, but not do any sitting courses. And so what happens is that they've got a situation where they've got apprentices for 3 years. They'll get the FCAS qualification, and if they don't do the endpoint assessment, they come out with just the FCAS after 3 years, which I think is ludicrous, personally.
I must say, all the engineers I've come across, if they've got, well, they nearly all have. I'm one of the few that haven't, but they've nearly all got the FCAS. But I don't think any have ever had any other qualifications. Sometimes it does show. I can pick up that they don't know certain things, but so they've all come through maybe like a trainee scheme, like I've just done, and just work with the employers, pick up what they tell them and what they see on site and whatever. And obviously by law now they need the F-gas.
Yes.
And that's all they have. And I do think there's this misconception that F-gas is teaching you all about refrigeration and air conditioning, and you know almost everything. And
we know differently because we teach on a weekly basis. You're right.
Have to have it, as you say, don't they?
It's a mandatory. I would say it's it's a level 2 qualification, and it's really like a skills test, competence test to make sure they can handle refrigerants properly.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the 2078 quite some time back, and that's been superseded. It was actually superseded in 2007. That was. So we've been running the 2079 since 2007.
Right.
Ironically, and so with the F-gas qualification now, it's a 4-hour practical assessments on a rig 1-to-1, where the engineer's got a system, and it's a refrigeration system with service valves. So it's got refrigerant in it, so they recover, take all the refrigerant out, change, put a brazed joint in a suction line, and put your nitrogen through all that lot. Then they would pressure test it, evacuate it, charge it, commission it, and then recover it. And that's in 4 hours. And then they've actually got the theory test, which is multi-choice test on syllabus items, which are prescribed by Sitting Guilds. And then that is an online test, and it's 80 minutes. You've got 40 questions multi-choice, and you have to get 60% right, which is 25, I say, out of 40 to pass. With a practical assessment, though, it's actually 100% pass. They've got to do everything correctly.
Well, as I said, that's how I was told when I did the 207A. Yeah, everything has to be 100%, or you don't get it. So it makes you nervous, especially
it does.
30 odd years already at the time.
That's right.
Done most things in light refrigeration, and I should know everything, but it does put you under pressure going through a test as you get older.
Of course, and I mean, I've had situations where the engineers they've come back for their F-gas qualification, and they've been in there for 15 years, and they think, "Oh, how am I going to pass this? How am I going to pass this?" I've had engineers in tears, not because of my teaching, but because of the stress they put themselves under. Yeah. And I totally agree with you, Michael, in the sense that yes, there is an issue around competence, knowledge, confidence, and then coming back into a scenario where you're being assessed by a third party, in essence. That said, our pass rate at Chile is 100%.
Oh, that's good.
And only because we only do it in small groups. We have three. We only do three engineers per course, and then and that's very much like a 1-to-1 tuition. Yeah. And if they do fail, they get the opportunity to redo it.
Right.
Okay. They come back and redo the test. So I'm not saying everyone passes first time, because that would be wrong, and that's they don't. All I am saying is that with us, I'm sure all centres do it. Is they'll invite the engineers back in, give them more training, or they get more training out on site, and then go and do the test and pass. Yeah. So that, I mean, again, it is valid to talk about the F-gas qualification, the Sitting Guilds 2079, just to give you an idea as to, it's a mandatory requirement for all engineers now, and a lot of people are getting it. With the diploma level 3, it is actually a standalone qualification. Okay, so you got level 3 qualification, and it's standalone. And technically, you don't actually need to have level 2. Sitting Guilds are not prescribed, oh, you must have level 2 before you have level 3. Certainly colleges want you to do that because it's more income for them. Yeah. Okay. And I endorse that in the sense that it is good to have your level 2 and then your level 3. It does give you a lot more knowledge, and you get another certificate. I've had situations previously where the engineer said, well, Paul, I don't really want to do level 2. Great. But they can do the level 3 because it's just a high level. Yeah. And they're proving competence and knowledge as well. Now, do you have any questions at the moment, Michael?
Not really. No. I was thinking, so just one thing, just the level 2 parts, are some of those in the 3, or is the level 2, say, for most people, would it appear to be quite obvious, basic stuff that oh, we know that anyway. Or
No. Level 2 is not. I would say it's not an easy qualification.
right.
Okay, it does test you knowledge-wise. I mean, for example, the level 2 diploma 60/90, you got something like 4 tests in that, 4 theory tests.
Right.
Okay, and you got to know things like P1 V1 over T1 equals P2 V2 over T2. You know,
Right.
the gas laws, pressure entropy diagrams, stoichiometric charts. They have to do a cold room installation as part of the assessment. Got to change a compressor. They've got to commission the cold room. Well, install, test, and commission.
Right.
And also they've got to do an AC maintenance, compressor change. So it's quite a lot. And health and safety as well.
There's quite a bit in it then, because I'm just I don't know anything about the qualification other than it exists. But I compare it with other NVQ type of things where level 2 is almost pointless. Level 3 is where you do learn stuff, but you have to learn on site as well.
Yes.
So you do college and you know and the practical part as well. So I often have come across NVQs as such in other areas, and they've been very, very basic that people just don't want to know.
Okay.
But
I mean,
it's always worthwhile. So I was comparing what you're talking about with that and thinking, well, the 3 is what you need.
yes.
The 2 is probably so basic. Is for
Level 2 is complex, Michael.
sounds like it. What you're telling
For
me.
example, the NVQ level 2, the 6187 level 2, and level 2 you can do air conditioning or refrigeration.
Right.
They've got a unit in there which is a level 3 unit, and the reason that it's electrical units for level 3, NVQ level 3, and that's because the governors they actually said electricity is dangerous, so we want to have a level 3 qualification, although it's part of a level 2. So the engineers who've got level 2 qualification NVQ, national qualification, the 6187, there's been quite a few, qualifications that have been upgraded. The latest one, the 6187, does incorporate a unit which is at level 3 for the electrics.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I think that's how it ought to be.
Yes.
I was just I was comparing it with other industries that I've come across where 2 seems very, very basic, and unless you know nothing about the industry, then level 2's been pointless. But from what you're saying, level 2 seems something everyone should be doing.
Yeah, a level 2 NVQ national qualification, and it is still a city qualification. Not, I get that. It's something like you've got 7 online tests to do,
right?
Okay? And then you've still got the cold room assessment to do, assignments in the cold room assessment, commission and decommission, and electrics. And then also you have to have 2 on-site assessments and build a portfolio of evidence on 6 units. Yes, so whereas it sounds basic, it's a level 2 qualification. And my experience has been, if I compare it to the heating and vents, the plumbing one, the heating NVQ, the refrigeration one is very much more complex.
Yeah.
All at a level 2.
Yeah.
And it's harder to achieve.
Yeah, from the basics I know of those sort of qualifications, it does sound like it's in depth.
It is, and it ought to be. I mean, if someone, I suppose the other thing I have to say is it really depends where you go, which centre you go to, because I'm sure you've heard through the grapevines. I'm sure with the F-gas, there are centres who will do the F-gas differently to somebody else. Yeah. Although it's supposed to be the same program, the same qualification, and I hear some horror stories.
I found that from personal experience with my engineers that I've employed and put them through it. The different centres, there is a lot of difference. In fact, one of them, my guys went to, it is in the south of England, and they was telling the instructor, teacher, they was telling him things because there were certain things he didn't know, and his rig wasn't up to scratch, but they had stuff in the van which they bought in. Right. They, in a way, got him out of trouble. There was only 3 engineers there, 2 of them for the company I was working with. Right. That seems so rough. Yeah. But I think there's lots of these training firms spring up in all industries.
Yes.
And some think, well, this is a quick buck.
Very much so.
Others do it properly, like you. Yeah, I know you've got.
And the situation is that's right. I mean, I've written many articles, super assessors. I had one story where there was one assessor, and he actually had 6 engineers to do the F-gas. Now he did all of them in one day, and they all passed
on his own.
Yeah, on his own. So he had one rig. Now an assessment is 4 hours practical. Then they've got the theory on top of that. So I said, you have to do a super assessor. Just impossible, you know. So just so level 2 is not as easy as it sounds.
No, that's good to know. I like to hear that because I often think of qualifications, not having many myself, other life experience, but not having any real qualifications apart from the 2078. I often think, they're a bit of a waste of space.
No,
I understand what you're saying, Paul. They clearly aren't, but you need to go to the right place, perhaps.
Very much so.
Get that.
In fact, the industry.
If you really want to know something and be confident that you do know something at the end of it, it seems you've got to go to the right place. And
I think so.
How do you pick that? You
pick that up through, I suppose, talking to people, communicating, getting some feedback, and being on LinkedIn. I must admit, I'm fortunate in that sense, in the sense that I've always been that passionate, and I'm very much about development, and I want to do it to the best of my ability. I'm not saying I'm the best in the UK. I'm not. All I'm saying is that the way we do it is very much akin to what City Girls require, and we're very, very thorough.
Yeah, and that's how you'd expect it to be, isn't it? You wouldn't really expect it to be any other way. So if you're doing it as you see is the right way, then that's good, because shortcuts at the end of the day don't help anybody.
No, they'll come back and bite you.
They will. You know, I've found that from so many people I've spoken to, and I often think, how did you get that qualification? In many industries, because I've employed electricians and plumbers and all sorts, and some are really good. Some know it without qualifications. Others got all the qualifications but never actually done much.
Right.
Where do they get their training from?
I'll tell you what. You know, I've had situations where somebody actually, they went to a centre and they were doing the F-gas qualification, or they're going to, and the first thing the trainer said to them was, "Oh, if you expect to pass, you come to the wrong place." How does that work? Straight away he's telling them they're going to fail them. That can't be right. No. I suppose what they're saying is they're going to fail them first, charge them a reset, and then pass them, which I think is ludicrous.
Most people go there, like we were saying earlier, they're going to feel a bit nervous, especially if they've been in the industry for a while. And now they're going to be tested. So they need to have some confidence there that
very much so.
Last course, the instructor's going to be good. We're going to pick up some tips. Going to learn stuff that maybe we'd forgotten or don't.
Yeah, of course.
Which we can all will do. So you don't need a knockback as soon as you get in.
No. I was quite flabbergasted. I mean, we do, just having 3 lads on the course, and in fact, I've had a husband and wife on the course as well, which is quite nice. But it's very much about nurturing, and putting them at ease. Even down to the situation I say to them, look, write down 10 times, I'm going to pass, I'm going to pass, I'm going to pass, and just writing that down changes their mindset, and they pass. Very much about that. Okay, as regards what I'm going to try and do is get you through or show you how to actually access the course information. Okay, so I'm going to go into the net. I'm just going to see if I can share screen. Can you see that? Can you see? I'm not sure where you can you?
No,
you can't share the screen. Okay, I'm just going to try and,
yeah, that's come up.
Okay, that's come up. Okay, so I'm just going to. Can you see that at all?
I can.
Yeah. What's
explore the Zoom whiteboard? Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go to here. Can you before that? In fact. Okay. Can you see this, sir?
Yes, sir. That's on the net.
So one thing, you've gone onto the net. You've Googled City Girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you get to City Girls, you actually go onto here, which is their website. Okay. I haven't used it for quite some time. So you get that up there. Okay. So once you've got that, That's the header page. If you go into search, Michael, and just put in 6090, okay, 6090, and you search that, okay, you'll get the search, and then you get here the result: refrigeration, air conditioning, heat pump system 6090.
Yeah.
Click on that, and this bit here, there's an information sheet, gives you the information about what it's about, okay, and then also, so this was last updated 15th of September 2022, so it's quite recently that it was updated. Now,
Right.
I mean, if I read this out, product code 6090 is saying this apprenticeship is designed for key employers in the refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump system industry, and is one of the new trailblazer apprenticeships. It provides the skills and underpinning knowledge for both basic and advanced refrigeration systems, and includes an end test at the end of the apprenticeship, which includes both a knowledge and practical skills test. Sitting also developed 2 technical qualifications to support the on-program delivery of this apprenticeship, in addition to the 2079-11 FGAS certificate. And it's saying this qualification is aimed at new entrants to the refrigeration, air conditioning, heat pump industry who wish to be trained in the skills and knowledge associated with basic and complex refrigeration systems, which include the routine maintenance, reactive maintenance, and commissioning and decommissioning of refrigeration systems in a variety of working environments. The apprenticeship is available in England only. The qualification can be taken as a standalone qualification. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is that that's a bit of, I mean, if you go on, available to deliver England, our range of digital teaching and learning resources, refrigeration, air conditioning, heat pump systems gives you the flexibility to choose the tools you need to support apprentices through their on-program learning, build their confidence and competence, and ensure a quality learning experience in preparation for EPA. EPA is endpoint assessment.
Yeah.
So they're on a program for 3 years, basically. After the 3 years or thereabouts, they have to go through the gateway, which means they're ready for the assessments. And that has to be agreed with the apprentice, their training provider, and their employer as well. Yeah,
Right.
so the 3 people have to say, yeah, I'm ready for the assessments. Put me forward for it.
Yeah.
And then the whole channel of events happen. If we look at the on-program bit, it just tells you about what we can do. It's worth reading this out. So what it's saying here is, Sitting Yours has designed innovative and flexible delivery content that will equip apprentices with the competence and confidence to perform their best in assessment, including, so here you got mandatory qualification, the 6090 at levels 2, the 6090 at levels 2 and 3 are closely aligned to the content of the apprenticeship standard and enhance the on-program learning for the apprentice. So that's not mandatory. The 2079-11 is a mandatory qualification for this apprenticeship. It supports the delivery of all the skills, knowledge, and behaviours required. Apprentices will receive a certificate upon successful completion. We have created a supporting document to link the qualification content to the requirement in the standard, so you can feel confident that everything is covered. You'll find this in the documents tab. So what we're saying is the 2079 is mandatory, and the 6090 level 2 and level 3, they're not mandatory, but they can be used as stepping stones to get them up to that level. Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's the information sheet at the front, so if you click on the documents here, click on documents, and then you got all the documents here. Here you can find all documents relating to this suite of apprenticeship. By clicking on the section headings below, you can access a variety of documents, such as the qualification handbooks, assessment materials, statements of purpose, and recognition letters from industry employers. Some documents, they are password protected, and password are only given to appropriate centres like myself.
Right.
But if we look at, I mean, for example, start with the endpoint assessments. Okay, for the endpoint assessments, you got the resource list, there's the standards, there's the apprentice development journal that the engineer needs to fill out, and there's a sample test, multi-choice test, and then there's a customer care list. Basically, Michael, with the endpoint assessments, okay, they have to do the online test at the end. They have to do a practical assessment, which is 2 days, or 2.5, 3 days, and that's done by an independent assessor on a rig that the engineers haven't seen.
All right.
Yeah, it is what it is, and I've harped on about this since it started. they've got to work on a rig. They've got to carry out an assessment on a rig they haven't seen. They know about it. They may have trained on a rig similar somewhere else, and it's a twin cold room of one condensing unit. You got a freezer at -18 thereabouts, and a chill room at about +4, and all the components therein. And that's that. The assessment centres are getting that at the moment, or they have got them now. And what they have to do there is the system will be running. It'll be charged with a high GWP refrigerant, and then they have to recover the refrigerant. Well, they have to run it up and check all the data, get commissioning logs to make sure it's running with a high GWP refrigerant. Then they have to decant it, okay, properly. Again, just being watched by an independent endpoint assessor, and then they have to change change the dryer in situ, and change the refrigerant. They've got a selection. There are four cylinders at the centre or wherever, and the engineer has to select the right one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and if they don't select the right one,
there'd be one there that
they fail.
They'd have something like 410, for instance. That wouldn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, for example, they might have 290.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they select that and to put it into this system, they're going to fail because you can't do it. So and then they have to select, change the dryer, so it's not through all that lot. Then they have to go through strength testing, tightness testing, and evacuation, recharge, and recommission. And also they've got to make sure it's running properly, and they've got to get the data to enable them to actually plot a pressure enthalpy diagram.
Right.
Okay. So that's the endpoint assessment. They've got 2.5 hours to do that. Sorry, 2.5 days to do that. And also after that, they actually have to have an interview, a professional interview. So it's quite arduous. End test, practical assessments on a rig they haven't seen before, assessed by an independent endpoint assessor, and then also the professional interview. Right. And that's after 3 years of program.
Right. Can I just ask a couple of questions?
Of course you can, Michael.
The 2.5 days sounds a long time to do that when they're not actually installing the equipment, are they? They're
they're not installing it
now. And recovering the refrigerant and recharging it with a different refrigerant, which is the same as charging it with the original in a way. It's just a different.
Yeah, it would be, yes.
Yeah. So all they do is say, well, not that one, that one. So I'm just wondering, that seems a long time to be assessed.
Okay. The other thing that I haven't mentioned is that that the retrofit is part of it. And the second part of the assessment is that they've got to find 4 faults.
All right.
That's a separate part. Okay. They've got to find 4 faults.
So someone would put those faults into
on the same rig or similar rig. Yeah. And they've got to. Someone will put 2 mechanical faults on and 2 electrical faults, and they've got to diagnose and rectify those faults.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, because I was coming to that next. It's all right knowing how to put something in, but when it goes wrong, can you deal with it? Yeah.
So they've actually got, and the endpoint assessor, the independent endpoint assessor, they will select. Oh, can you put this fault on, that fault on, that fault on, that fault? There's a selection that's sitting where they've got faults, and I don't know what they are. I'm not bothered. And the endpoint assessor, the independent endpoint assessor, i.e. IPA we call them, they'll select, put this on, put this on, put this on. And then if they don't pass, if they put the fault on, can't find it, then they failed.
Right. Okay.
So
that's good.
That's the end game. I mean, a lot of apprentices now in the UK, they've embarked on the endpoint assessment standard, and that's what they're doing. Okay. Now, getting to that point is they've got to do the F-gas, they've got the level 2 diploma, 60-90-20, and also they've got the 60-90-30, which is level 3. So that's the endpoint assessment paperwork. If we go on program bits and pieces, can you see you got assessment documents and centre documents, Michael?
Yes, can see that.
So if you look at the centre document, we've actually got a qualification handbook for level 2. It's like a syllabus telling you what they've got to do. And there's also a syllabus for level 3. Now, I'm going to concentrate on the level 3 because that's what I want to discuss with you. Okay. Yes. So if we click onto the handbook, can you see that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Right. So what this is, level 3 diploma in refrigeration, air conditioning systems and heat pump systems. and version 2019. Now, I'm not going to go into all of this, but basically, the qualification handbook, you can scroll down. It tells you what there is and information. Tend to forget the hours. These are just guided learning hours. Okay, that's the total qualification time. Forget that. This is just the updates. Now, so what we got there is this. These are the units now. Okay, this is what the engineer is having to work towards. Okay,
Right.
You've got Unit 201, which is health and safety and the RSHP industry. You got this is a level 3 assignments. Unit 301, applying fundamental principles to RSHP systems. Unit 302, complex RSHP systems. Unit 303, commissioning and troubleshooting complex RSHP systems. 304, work planning and organization of RSHP systems. And then Unit 305, electrical power and control for the RSHP systems. So that's the bulk. That's what they got to do. Okay. So they got 201, 301, 302, 303, 304, 305, and those are the headings. If you go into the qualification handbook, it gives you a lot of information, how it was put together, all the information. And what we're saying here is that these are the unit titles. Okay. So you got health and safety mandatory. These are the assignments, bits and pieces. And they tell you that's what the guided learning hours are. Now, I must admit, if you're an experienced engineer, then you've had that already. You know, you've done a lot of that and beyond. I mean, my experience has been, I've had situations where lads have been, say, down south. And they say, Paul, I want to do a level 3. And I say, right, these are the syllabus items. I'll tutor them like we do now, 1-to-1, or a couple of engineers. And so I'll be teaching them or guiding them what they need to know remotely. Then what they've done is they've actually come into the centre on a Saturday morning, on a Saturday or a Sunday, or bank holiday, or over Christmas, and we've actually been able to do the test that they're required to do.
Right.
Okay. So that takes a lot of time away from that.
Yeah.
So these are my experiences, what I've been doing, and this is what I want to tag on to. So we got those. I'm not worried about those. Then the centre requirement tells you what you need to be able to have and all that lot, bits and pieces. And then you get into, this is telling you what this is. So you got to 201 health and safety and RSHP. There's a practical assignment on that. In addition to that, there's a test as well, health and safety and RSHP industry. It's a multiple choice test.
Right.
Then if you look at the rest of it, 301, applying fundamental principles to RSHP systems, that's an assignment. 302, complex RSHP systems, that's an assignment. Commissioning and troubleshooting complex RSHP systems, that's an assignment. And then work planning and organization for RSHP systems, that's an assignment. And then electrical power and control RSHP systems, that's an assignment as well. Now, to cut through the chase, the health and safety, the online test is an online test. The practical assignments here, that's a practical assignment, so it's hand-on. They have to physically do safe isolation. They've got to be able to use steps, apply health and safety, put up scaffolding, pressure testing, and that's part of the assignment. And
Right.
there is, this is probably back to front now. Can you see that? That's a level 2 assignment, which I've printed off. Okay, and that tells you everything you need to know about what they got to do. And there's 10 tasks in here. There's information for the assessor, and there's information for the candidate. And then they use this paperwork to actually administer that health and safety assignments. And the same goes for all the others as well. So these are the items or the units in the handbook. And so the health and safety test is 45 minutes duration. So it's like 22 questions in it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then here it tells you all the other bits. If we break down the health and safety, this is telling us what they need to know. Okay. So for the test, there's 6 sections. And then these are the number of questions. So I do apologize, 28 questions. So this, and then this is telling the engineer. I mean, what I tend to do, I say to the engineer, look, do you know about that? 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 And what you don't know about, let's discuss it, because what we can do is we can actually go into the syllabus and a bit like a skill scan. Okay. So for example, and I do this all the time. So this is the unit. This is what they need to know about. Okay, the theory side of it. And we just say, do you know that lot? And I'll sit them down and they tick off what they can do, what they don't know. And then we make a training plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I must admit, I have a situation with this particular, the engineers come in, said, yeah, well, I can do that. So I said, okay, let's book you a test. And they sit and pass it. 85%.
Yeah.
So if they know it, I only need to teach what they need to know, and then they sit the test and pass.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, I do find with health and safety, a lot of it, you should say it's
Common sense.
It's common sense,
Yeah.
and a lot of it should be obvious. But there's always things that you haven't seen that someone else.
That's right. Very important.
I have done that.
Choice.
I have got that qualification. It's just something I never thought to tell you. I have got a health and safety. I've done the skills on site because we've needed them in the past, and it's, to me, they're so easy to pass because to me they're so easy. But it doesn't mean
that's right, because you're experienced. If you think of a 16-year-old who's they've just been on site for 2 weeks, there's no way they're going to know all that.
Of course not.
And that's where the training comes in.
Of course.
And if we've got competent engineers, they'll fly through this. I've had engineers and they'll say, yeah, no, I'll have a go. They'll read it, say, yeah, well, I know that. Okay, sit you down, pass it. So they've saved that many hours.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I've done asbestos courses and maintaining, scaffold towers, all those sorts of things. And it's handy to know the things, and it's handy to know things that you wouldn't have thought of. So, like I say, a lot of it is
excavations, trucks and excavations, they can clap and stuff like that. They need to know about. The other one is asbestos. The 3 different types of asbestos, and all that lot. So there is bits that they need to know. They don't come with knowing everything. I do sit down and do a tutorial with them, whether it's like this or face to face. It doesn't matter really. And so that we've got the unit, and they tell you what they need to know about and what they're going to be assessing about, the assessment criteria. So the learner can and do all that lot. Okay. So and that goes for each unit. So that's the health and safety one. If we look at here, Unit 301, applying fundamental principles to RCHP systems. This is a theory one. Okay, so it's saying here, and if you look at the unit aim, this unit allows learners to explore fundamental principles to develop their understanding of RCHP systems. There is particular emphasis on system design and efficiency, and the use of both pH and psychometric charts as data sources. The unit concludes with theoretical calculation being applied to a range of practical systems an engineer is likely to encounter. So there's no test on this theory test. This is telling you what the engineer needs to know. And if they can do that, then they can attempt the assignment, because they've got an assignment book as well that they do. So for each 301, 302, 303, 304, 305, we've got the syllabus items, Michael. And then based on the syllabus items, Sitting Rules have got assignments that the engineer does when he or she is ready for them. Okay. So my philosophy, my thought process would be, can you do all this lot? And you probably can't, with respect. There'll be some tuition that is required, and then that tuition would be given to you like this now, or we could say, right, if you go onto this website, there's a nice video on this. Look at it. So I'll be preparing you for the assignment. If you know all of that, then I can say, okay, let's just go through the assignment itself. Okay, so this bit is telling us about all the outcomes. It's 302. Okay, so this one here, you're saying the purpose of this unit is to provide learners with the understanding of complex RCHP system components and their interrelationship for a range of applications. Learners will understand the construction and design of a range of system types operating on common refrigerants. Okay. So, if we look through the RSC system, they need to look at direct expansion, flooded, pump overfeed, cold store, chill store, water chiller, VRF, VRV, air conditioning, ground and air source heat pump, cascade systems, compound systems, transcritical absorption systems, booster systems, different compressors, different refrigerants, hydrocarbons, HFCs, HFOs, R717, R744. So it's complex.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it covers most things, doesn't it? Or probably everything.
Yeah.
More than enough.
Yeah. Again, they've got to know all this assessment criteria, and then look at. So what I'll tend to do is actually use this qualification handbook very much like a skills scan. Yeah, for example, if someone said, "Yeah, let's look at assignment 301," I'd say, "Right, can you do that? Can you do that? Can't you? What can't you do?" Get into that mode, and then give them the tutoring that they need. They're ready for the assignment, and then they can attempt the assignment.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it, Michael. And commissioning and troubleshooting. This one here, this unit will give the learner the understanding and practical skills to carry out commissioning and troubleshooting activities on complex RSHP systems. Troubleshooting activities are based on systems that have already been commissioned and are in operation. Okay. So they've got so basically commissioning in bits and pieces, being able to commission, it tells you what you got to do, and then they've got to be able to identify system faults using a range of information and rectify faults in complex systems and document troubleshooting activities. So they're commissioning, then they're troubleshooting it.
Yeah.
So faults could be refrigerant side, air side, or secondary side. It could be electrical control function. So that's again, that's a practical one where they've got to commission systems and find faults on them. Yeah. And there is in the assignment pack there are prescribed faults that they need to know about, and the assessor knows that. Okay. But certainly you cover all faults anyway. The next one, 304, work planning and organisation for RSHP systems. Okay. This unit has been designed to give students a broad understanding of organisation and work planning techniques. It is case study based on using real companies, so knowledge gained will be relevant and offer knowledge and understanding applicable to their career progression. This assignment really is looking at you ask the engineer to actually go and have a look at investigate their company and do a case study on how their company operates, and then compare that to 4 other companies. It's like a research project, 3,000 words. Now, heaven forbid, engineers hate writing, and to try and get them to do an assessment or an assignment for 3,000 words, they're pulling their hair out. But that's what's prescribed.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you're going along, as you complete these modules or units, you can get a unit accreditation certificate. Okay. You don't need to wait till the end, and in fact, we don't. As students pass, we apply for their certificates.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're building up your bank, so to speak. Okay. Then if we look at the 305, electrical power and control for RSHP. This unit develops in learners the understanding of 3-phase electrical circuits and their control. Learners will apply their understanding by developing skills required to construct electrical circuits appropriate to RSHP systems. Basically, Michael, they've got to be able to understand circuits, schematic wiring diagrams, and they have to do the control circuits for a direct online system and also for a star delta starter. Right. They do the circuitry for it, and then actually wire the control panel and the motor from a 3-phase supply. Yeah. So if we take that, for example, I mean, center that offer it, they've got a couple of boards, direct line contactor, star delta starter, pack there with a motor, and it's all there. And they just, unwire it, wire it, and do the bits and pieces. That's no different to actually doing it on site. No. If they've got to do a compressor change, for example, or a contactor change, or a rewire. Yeah. So can you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, that's good. The only difference there really is doing something on site. The conditions are not always as they are in the classroom. You may do the same job,
Yes.
And then you apply them to work in, I don't know, behind a bar or
Yes.
in the rain, because everything's
Yes.
outside. And
Mhm.
but yeah, that all comes with experience. Yeah.
Because what I'm saying is that they got to know about motors and stuff like that, three-phase, all that lot. And you give them understand control. So they know all the periods they need, and this is assessment criteria. Be able to construct and fault find electrical circuits, construct and fault find electrical circuits, safely isolate electrical circuit, inspect and test electrical circuits. So, control circuit, power circuit, we know about that. And then carrying out insulation resistance, all the electrical tests that engineers tend not to do. They have to make sure they're done properly. And
people
using a mega.
And then they walk away from it, but they haven't actually checked that they've done everything properly. No, it seems a really good course, Paul. Very in depth.
It is very, very in depth. And the situation is that as a trainer, I can make it as complex as I want to make it, or I can make it as simple as I want to make it. And my philosophy is, I need to ensure that the engineer is competent. I need to ensure that the syllabus items have been covered adequately, and I need to ensure that they've done the assessment as prescribed by Sitting Gills. Okay. So if you imagine that this was done at let's say you got your company, okay, in a workshop, you got all the kit laid out, and you got engineers coming in and they're doing it. That's doable. That's doable. What I'm saying is that you could have the situation where, let's say the engineer is putting in a three-phase motor, they've got to go and change one. They've got, the contactor's gone, the motor's gone, and they've got to rewire everything. Then that's no different to actually doing it in the workplace.
No, that's right.
It's probably better because you've got the constraints and the pressures of work.
Can I ask you a few questions about say this course or things in general?
Yes, of course.
This is just based on the number of people, particularly in the last 10 years or so, who I find for me, and I have to sort, not my engineers, or sometimes, but the people who, because we had our own brands of equipment, and quite simple, and people were calling us and asking the most silliest of questions. I do think some of these people have come from maybe a plumbing background, and they thought, or an electrical background, and think, I'll install air conditioning, it's simple. And it is. Compared with anything else, it's one of the simplest things to do. And they ask the most stupid questions. Like, what is the fourth wire for? Like you've got live earth neutral and control, or number 3, or whatever it happens to be called. People ask that, and it does my head in that those people ask those simple questions, and they obviously
they don't know
like this. So they're completely unskilled at what they do. But I get so many questions like that. And like, what size pipe is it? What's the connection?
It's ridiculous.
Suede is suede. How do I put my connection on? There's nothing to screw onto. They just come across stuff that you learn from this course. Is vital. And if they clearly haven't done anything like that, they've probably, I don't know how they've even got their F-gas. Maybe some of these.
Well, I mean, I can tell you how they got the F-gas. Again, I speak from knowledge, in the sense that some certain centres will actually push the engineers through. And they'll support them. So, like a group activity. It's supposed to be a one-to-one assessment for 4 hours. And some people have working in pairs, and I'm not even going to go there, Michael, because it does my heat in. And it does frustrate me.
It happens in any industry, but it's the same when the industry that you're in. Maybe you can get a bad name, mainly with heat pumps these days. But it's a bad name.
It takes years and years to build up your reputation, and it takes a second to lose it. And I'm very much fortunate that I want to maintain the standard that we are maintaining and go beyond that as well. Because people know they've been through us, that they've had a thorough assessment.
An elite industry, elite. We want to keep it specialist.
Very much so. Very much so.
Here in B&Q, it needs to be. It's a specialist industry for good reason. Certainly, if we go over to R290 and things like that.
Very much so.
And other gases I've never even used, but it's a specialist industry. Can I just say, on the course, or any part of this course, do you learn anything about R12, R22, and 502?
Only in the sense that they're CFCs and they're based, so the bands.
Yeah.
We talk about their GWPs and their ozone depletion potential. We do cover them in the sense that why they were banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the situation now is that if we got an R22 system or an R12 system, if it's functioning fine, but if it breaks down, you cannot tamper with that system.
No,
and you can only recover and send it away for disposal. So we do give them that information.
Because again, I've had people call me and they say it's got a number on here, R22.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I've had people, obviously young people. These people probably in their 20s or maybe 30s.
Right.
When those things were phased out before they were born.
No, we do cover them. We do cover them because they need to know. And it's quite. I mean, I'm very old. I must admit, a bit like yourself. And now, I don't know you're a similar age as me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frightening. Some of the youngsters coming through now. They don't even know which way to turn. They don't even know which way to turn a tap to open or close it.
Oh yeah, the valve.
Yeah. So I mean, there are and
yeah. It's the same as I tell them. It's the same as a tap. You know, if you want to turn the main bit off, just turn it the same way. It's the same direction as a tap, clockwise. It will turn it off completely.
I mean, I had an engineer yesterday. Okay, he had some issues, but he still, with the service gauges, he didn't know which way to turn them to close them or which way to turn them to open them. You know, he's thinking twice about it. It's second nature to us.
Yeah,
we were competent. So I had, we had one young lad in. And I said, "Oh, can you change your fuse in his blood?" Yeah, Paul, I've never changed a fuse in my blood. You know, never. When he's 16 years old.
I should learn that at school, and I think the school's fun. That's serious basic stuff I knew at 12.
That's right. Well, yes.
I was making electronic stuff at 12, 13. But they should know how to do a plug. Basic stuff you might come across in the household. I suppose it's deemed seriously health and safety, you know, I guess against it. But no, it should be simple stuff. You should know how to do those sort of things.
So these are the syllabus items, and so those are the units. And in the qualification handbook, you can read through at leisure for the level 2 and for the level 3. So in addition to that, the sitting will have got a password protected assignments book, where they've got all the assessments. So if I can just, I'm going to close this now, so you got that bit there. That's the centre documents, And if you go into assessment documents, these are all the assessment documents you got. This is for both level 2 and for level 3. So here, 609030, that's the assessment pack for level 3. The 6090-201, that's the assessment pack for level 2. You got 6090 pressure enthalpy chart, a psychrometric chart. Now these, for example, I can just click on there, and that'll come up with a chart. So Sitting will have got that. Because that's what they wanted to use for the assessments. If you look at a psychrometric chart here, and they've got, that's very poor, but they have a psychrometric chart that you can download and use. I don't like using that one, I must admit, it's quite unclear. Other bits and pieces, you got sample tests for level 2, end tests there, bits and pieces. So these are sample multi-choice tests. For example, here, if you look at the health and safety one, see it's password protected.
Right.
So if we go to, I wanted to pick up this one here, the assessment back here. Right. Now that's password protected, and I can't tell you the password. I'm sworn to secrecy.
Right.
So this. I'll probably get it wrong. Okay. I missed something out. Okay, right. So it's password protected, and then here. And this is the assessment booklet. So level 3 diploma in refrigeration air conditioning assessment pack, and that tells you. So this is the assessment pack. This is telling us what they've got, what you've got to do, what they've got to do, the engineers. Okay. So for example, here, so we got here content assessment, assessor guidance, assignment 301, assignment 302, assignment 303, assignment 304, assignment 305. Okay, and you've got all the bits and pieces here. So in the 301, you got assignment overview, you got task specific assessor guidance, the candidate guidance, candidate assessment record, evidence recording templates, task B2, pressure entropy analysis sheet, answer grid, marking criteria. They give you marking criteria, the marking guidance as well. Assignment 302, complex RSHP systems, assignment overview, task specific assessor guidance, candidate guidance, candidate assessment record, marking criteria. 303, commissioning and troubleshooting complex RSHP systems, assignment overview, task specific assessor guidance, candidate guidance, candidate assessment record, and then you got evidence recording template, risk assessment form, risk control action plan sheets, job sheets, method statement briefing requisite. All these are filled in, completed as part of the assessment for that unit. Okay. 304, work planning and organization for ICHP systems, assignment overview, task specific assessor guidance, candidate guidance, candidate assessment record, marking criteria. Okay. Then you got electrical power and control for RSH systems, an assignment overview, task specific assessor guidance, candidate guidance, and candidate assessment record. So that gives you the information. There's a multi-choice question paper they have to do for the electrical based on syllabus items that they have to learn about. And then they've got the risk assessment form, control action sheet, method statement, and so forth. So I just thought my phone had gone off somewhere. I don't even know where my phone is. Okay. Right, no, that's fine.
So,
Okay.
so this is what you're going to put through on this Tuesday evenings. Is that this is?
Yeah, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'll be doing theory-wise and telling them like an induction to start with, and then getting them into that mode in the sense that I need to make. I'm sharing this with you now because I want to have a look at getting this recorded and also get your comment on it as well, and then we can move it forward. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is, so the actual assessments guidance and the notes, the booklets, they're purely for the candidates who are going to sit the assessments. Obviously, we don't give them to anybody else. The assessors will have them as well. That said, I mean, I want to get you involved in this. So if I looked at just one of the assessments, we can. I mean, 301. See, that's a theory assessment. Theory. So for example, this is again, that's the 301 assessment, okay? And it's saying applying fundamental principles to RSHP systems. And there's an assignment overview. Can you read that all right or not?
I can see, yeah, but my eyes looking at the screen are watering. But I can see it's clear. It's
okay.
just my eyes for close up.
So what we're saying is, okay, let me just make it a bit smaller. So there's task A, and it's saying identify heat load constituents and calculate load for RSHP system design. Then B1 is plot a cooling system on pressure entropy diagrams. B2, compare 3 refrigerant and report on comparisons. C, show the relationship between psychometric properties and plant design. Size and select system components. Okay. And then what the evidence that the engineer has to provide is written answers, copies of external data, sources, marking checklist. Candidate writes up pH chart, marking checklist, and so forth. So this is prescribed. So again, this is a recommendation. Task A is in 2 hours. Task B, 3 hours. Task C, 2 hours. Task D, 2 hours. Now, that's just an indication of what the assessment should entail, how long it should take.
Yeah.
Approximately. This is the information for the task for the assessor, and this is for the candidates. So this one here, for example, I'll just look at this one. Task A, identify heat load constituents and calculate loads for RSHP system design. So number 1, using the information given in the refrigeration design scenario provided, identify all of the heat load constituents and factors necessary to complete the heat load calculation. Using the heat load constituents identified in task A1, calculate the total cooling load based on a 20-hour runtime in kilowatts. And then 3, using the information given in the air conditioning scenario, they got both refrigeration and air conditioning scenarios. So you're doing heat load calcs for refrigeration and for AC as well, Michael.
Right, okay.
So using the information given in the air conditioning scenario, identify all of the heat loads, constituents and factors necessary to complete the summer and winter cooling and heating calculations. Number 4, using the heat load constituents identified in A3, calculate the summer cooling load in kilowatts and then calculate the winter heating load in kilowatts. So this is looking at the heat load calculations both for refrigeration and for air conditioning for summer cooling and winter heating.
Right, okay.
And so they've got here a freezer holding room, blast freezer, and that's what it's based on. So you do calculations on that.
Right.
And this is for the air conditioning scenario. Tell you. So it's looking at all the bits and pieces. So what I'm saying is that's more like a design scenario, yeah, and that could be done in the office, which you would do.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing there. And, this one, task B1, plot a cooling system on a pressure density diagrams. Yeah, plot the following cooling system on pressure density diagram for R404A. It gives you the bits and pieces, and then they want you to compare 3 refrigerants and report on comparisons. So they got 404A design. You look at 3 different refrigerants, got the same criteria, plot those and make comparisons. So you're really sorting out which is the best refrigerant alternative, if you're going to retrofit 404A. So it's getting into that bit. And then you have to calculate the compressor displacement, refrigeration capacity, compressor power input, COP, refrigerant mass flow rate, specific volume, suction inlet, compressor discharge temp, compressor suction pressure absolute and pressure ratio. So these are bits that you have to get from that. Again, not expecting everyone to know it. They'll have different bits or zero knowledge, and that's where the training will need to come into it.
Yeah.
And then this is for the task is show the relationship between stoichiometric properties and plant and design. So you got a plots, a pressure and stoichiometric charts on a pH you've done the pressure entropy diagrams, then the stoichiometric chart to be done, and it tells you. Okay. And then this is a ducted air system schematic looking at the conditions and plotting the stoichiometric on that.
Right.
So what I'm saying, that's a theoretical assignment. If we looked at a practical assignment, and so just going through, so I looked at the electrical power one. Yeah, let's have a look at 305, electrical power and control for RCHP systems. So what I'm saying, both tasks within this assignment must be completed. The tasks cover the learning outcomes and assessment criteria, unit 305, as follows. So task A, construct electrical circuits. So then you need, as evident, a risk assessment, a method statement, a wiring diagram for 2, because you one for direct online and one for star delta data, the marking sheets, and then diagnose and rectify faults. Okay. So task A, construct the wiring diagram, is recommended is 1 hour. Okay. Electrical and then diagnosing faults. So you have to wire a direct online circuit, and then you have to find faults on it, and also star delta starter. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, for example, we're saying, I can read this out on here. Candidate. Okay. So task A, construct electrical circuit. You must complete a risk assessment method statement prior to undertaking task A. The assessor must confirm that these are satisfactory before undertaking task A. You will complete a risk assessment and method statement prior to carrying out the practical elements of this task using the templates provided. These should be checked by the assessor prior to work commencing. Create a wiring diagram for DOL operation with a 3-phase compressor motor. The control circuit must be 230 volts. Okay. And then create a wiring diagram for star delta operation of a 3-phase compressor motor. The wiring diagram must incorporate an extra low voltage control circuit. Each diagram should be clearly labeled so as to identify the conductors and their connections in the circuit. Diagrams are to include, okay, so a main isolator, combined relays for overload, changeover timer, main contactor, star contactor, delta contactor, compressor or three-phase motor, HPLP switches, a thermostat and a transformer. Then it's saying fix and connect components for the circuits from the label diagrams you have created, test and inspect the circuit and confirm with the assessor that it is safe to energize. You should take any remedial action necessary following tests and conduct a complete retest if remedial action has to be taken. Before continuing, ensure your assessor has confirmed the circuit is safe to energize, measure and record the circuit parameters and complete the electrical test results, table provided. And then next task be diagnose and rectify faults. You'll be given a job sheet giving details of a system that is not working. You will need to carry out a safe diagnostic procedure to identify the fault within the circuits. You'll then need to discuss your finding. You will need to discuss your finding with the assessor before rectifying the faults. Once the assessor has confirmed it is safe to do so, carry out the necessary rectification actions and testing of the circuit using appropriate equipment. So that's one assignment.
Yeah.
So wiring a three-phase direct online, doing a circuitry for it, and then wiring it up and then finding faults. Again, this could be done in the workplace as well, couldn't it? As a service engineer, you'd be doing some of this anyway.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. Yes. Yeah.
So what I was saying, this is the sheets that you got. So here you got the marking sheets, candidate assessment records. So unit number and title, candidate name, enrollment number, assessor name, center number, date assignment submitted, assessor feedback to the candidates, and so forth. Assessor feedback, and then therein you got a risk assessment here, risk assessment sheet. You can use your own risk assessment sheet. Any actions required. A method statement. Emergency procedures, even down to name of on-site first aider, first aid box location, location nearest hospital, other information and comments, and then they've done that. And then this is the templates, evidence recording template, electrical test result table. So they've got to do a CPC test. Okay. They've got to do, that's for the earthing, that's for the line continuity. Satisfactory, yes, sir. In fact, I actually get them to write what the resistance actually is.
Yeah.
So it's done properly. Insulation resistance, satisfactory, yes or no, is not enough, because I want them to actually test across the phases and see what the resistance is at what test voltage they put in a DC. 1,000 volts DC, that's what you expect to put in, is a three-phase. And what resistance are you getting? Above 1 mega ohm. That's what we're looking at. Things like that. So, and then that sheet's there. Prove control circuit operation, functional test. So this is again, this is what they report. And this is for the, we can actually put the faults on, and this is just a sheet saying candidate's name, date, description of the work, nature of the fault found, method to rectify the fault, material required, was rectification successfully carried out, yes or no, assessor signature, assessor name. And these faults, obviously, depending on what the fault is, it could be that a contactor, the actual contactor coil on the direct online is faulty, chattering, for example, and they have to diagnose that. It might be two-phasing, So, and then this is the assessment. This is the marking criteria. This is what the assessor gets. Okay, so you got the date of assessment, candidate name, candidate number, center number, assessor name. Now, internal verifier, that part of the quality assurance is that I've got what they used to be IV, they're now called IQA, which is internal quality assurer. And basically, the assessments are sampled by the internal quality assurance person to make sure that they've been done properly to Sitting Guilds standards. So we have the assessor, then we've got the internal quality assurance person who actually sampled to make sure everything's okay. Then we get Sitting Guilds coming out to look at the sampling of the documentation, and even observing an assessment going on.
All right, okay.
Yeah. And I've had situations where I've actually I've taken the assessor, the EQA, on site and say, right, we're doing an on-site assessment with this person. They're doing this, such and such, and they have to come out with us or meet me there, and they do it.
Right.
All part of the parcel. So this is just ticking off what they've, you know, that it's done, erecting on all the bits and pieces. So that's the practical assignments. Okay.
On the faults there,
Yeah,
would you leave perhaps a leak, or would you just not do that?
No, we put a leak on for the F-gas, but we put a leak on so that when they put the nitrogen in, they can find the leak that way. You don't actually, put a leak on with a system with a refrigerant in it, but that will be obviously contravening the environment.
I did think that. I thought, but that is quite a common finding. And I thought, well, they're not going to find it if they don't do it. But like you say, if you do it on the F-gas with nitrogen, then you've covered it. Can you hear me okay, by the way? I'm quite a distance from the computer because I'm trying to focus in. Can you hear me okay when I speak?
I can do, yes, I can do.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so what I'm saying is each assessment assignment has got the assessor brief, the candidate brief, the documentation, the feedback sheet, and the marking criteria that the assessor ticks off, like a tick sheet. Okay, so for example here, can you see this tick sheet here?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so all we're saying is design, fabricate, test, commissioning. Sorry, design, fabricate, test, and commission a three-phase system. Completed a suitable risk assessment and method statement for task A. Completed wiring diagram for DOL three-phase compressor motor with a 230-volt control circuit, and it is fit for purpose. Completed a wiring diagram for star delta operation of a three-phase compressor motor incorporating an extra low voltage control circuit, delay timer, transformer, and it is fit for purpose. Correctly fixed and connected components to their designs, electrical circuits to ensure safe operation for both designed electrical circuits. Carried out a visual inspection of circuits and completed any necessary rectification. Completed any necessary rectification and is confirmed as safe to energize by the assessor. Tested the circuits to ensure safe operation. Energized circuits improved operation and completed electrical test result table. Okay, so that's on the diagnose and rectify one. The candidate has correctly selected suitable tools and test equipment, checking for safety and suitability for job sheet. So there are 8 or 9 different faults that we can select. Okay,
right.
And so we put job sheet A, whatever it is. Carried out should be carried. See, this is so that should be carried out. So that's our, they obviously sitting yours typo. But I'm very persistent in the sense that I do pick up errors, and it does grieve me because I'm thinking, who's proofread this?
Well, a computer should do it, really, shouldn't it?
Technically. But anyway, so carry out logical fault diagnosis sequence to identify the faults. Detailed on the job sheet provided the nature of the fault found, suitable cost-effective measures to repair and the materials needed to complete the repair. Rectify the fault in accordance with the job sheet and demonstrate to assessor. Task carried out within specified time, and 45 minutes per fault, or an hour. Correctly ensured continued safe electrical isolation. Okay, so there's fault 1, fault 2, and fault 3. So they've got to find 3 faults.
Yeah.
And then the different faults. And then, so that's it in a nutshell. You got the level 2 health and safety online test, multi-choice, and that says common sense. Then you got the health and safety practical assignments or practical tasks, and some of those practical tasks can be done when they're doing the the level 3 assignment. For example, if they're doing, do the direct online wiring circuitry, they have to carry out the safe isolation. Yeah, so we can do that. Yeah, for that. So I tend to integrate the actual health and safety assignments into the level 3, so they're not separate, because that's what you would do anyway, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So I'm trying to do a holistic assessment, and what I'm saying is that so the theory side of it will be done by remote teaching and guidance, by Zoom sessions. The practicals, I'm thinking that these engineers won't need a lot of practical, but we could tell them what they need to be able to do, and they could either get the practice at work, or we can do a one-to-one to show how to do it. And there are ways of doing that. But my main aim is to get engineers who can do it, most of it already. They're experienced engineers, and then they can actually get the qualification.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
It sounds good. The course seems very good. Obviously, as I said earlier, I knew nothing about the course. I just knew it existed.
Right. Okay. I have given it a bit more thought as to administration, and I'm just going to I'm going to stop share for the time being. Okay. Yeah, get back into there. I have got another document to show you.
Right.
In the sense that, so what I'm thinking of is, starting 7th of February, I've got dates where I can do technical Tuesdays. Technical in the evening, do the theory aspects of it, bits and pieces, and then the rest of it. So I'm thinking that the assignments will be done as we're progressing through, and they'll be done either in the home, in the work, or on site. The preparation for them, the actual assignment themselves. So normally the engineer would be here, and we say, right, you come in the next Y day, and then I mean, if we're doing the Coldham assessment here, for example, level 2. We say to the engineer, look, book a block a week off work and come into here, which is not what I'm prescribing for level 3, because it doesn't warrant that. What I'm saying is with the level 3 lads, they'll know what assignment they need to do, what work they need to do, and then they can set that up on site. For example, if they're going to be doing a commissioning or doing some service, then I can go out and visit them. And that's what used to happen with the level 2 and the level 3 NVQs. We were allowed to do on-site assessments. At the moment, the way things are, there's no requirement to do any on-site assessments. That said, I've always been an advocate and saying on-site assessments done properly, you can gauge a lot of evidence how that person is doing.
Of course, yeah.
On site. So I think I'm just I am gonna share screen with you. Hold on. Let's have a look. Right, let me just
Let's just ask you a couple of questions.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
Why is it just in England? Why does it not include Scotland or Wales?
Okay, what it is, because they've got their own qualifications. For example, the Scottish people, they've got their own.
Yeah, well, it's got the SVQ stuff.
SVQ, stuff like that. That's it, yes.
Right. I often thought England and Wales, though, seemed very connected with other things.
Yeah, England and Wales is okay. I think Northern Ireland maybe, because that's.
Right.
I know Scotland are quite funny. That said, I know that this diploma is applicable.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that we've got endpoint assessments going on in Scotland as well, and they'll have their own, it'll be similar.
Yeah.
This diploma, I think, if I had my own way of doing it, I would actually do it worldwide.
Yeah, well, it's the same stuff, isn't it? It doesn't matter where you are on the planet.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. So what I've done here, and I'm going to share this, with you, in the sense that I was thinking about how are we going to, how can I actually attack this? Okay, bearing in mind that I'm not expecting lots of engineers. If I get a cohort of 10 students on this, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. So what we're saying is technical Tuesdays, 12, and I can email this to you actually later. Technical Tuesdays, 12 weeks sitting or 60-90 level 3 diploma in RCH persistence program. Preamble. Whereas there are no set requirements, it is expected that the candidate will have been in the RCHP industry for a minimum of 5 years. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Again, negotiable depending on experience. But you could have somebody who's been doing it 3 years and they've been doing what's required.
Yeah.
You could have somebody who's been in the trade 10 years and all they've been doing is compressor changes, things like that. And by way of a sequence, again, this is not written in tablet of stone. These are just my thoughts. There's an induction, telling what's required. I would request a CV from the engineer. Okay. A skill scan. Now, a skill scan is really looking at what can they do already based on what the course syllabus is.
Right.
Okay. So if we know by doing a skill scan, we can say what can they do and what can't they do, and then we can look at devising an action plan for them. How to get that knowledge, whether it's theory or practical skills, because there's bound to be a means of actually getting that. If it's theory, we can say, right, we can do a one-to-one, and that's the whole idea, to look through those. If it's practical, they might say, well, hold on, I've got, you know, I'm working with an engineer and I can go and do X, Y, Z. Yeah, practice before they get the assessment. Okay. And then I'm saying I'm wanting to have a reference or an employee witness statement to say they're employed. These are the kinds of things they've been doing. That's giving me some endorsements of what their experience is.
Right. Okay.
I'm also wanting to look at in company having a mentor, an expert witness, or an assessor in company. So what we're saying is, you know, somebody would be, you know, this could be the same person. You know, I want somebody in the workplace who's going to be responsible for that engineer, possibly.
Right.
Possibly. Okay. And what I'm saying, ideally, assessor. So an assessor from Sitting Hills, from our centre, would go and do the assessments. Okay. And if we can't, for some reason, then there is an expert witness, and the expert witness would be somebody who's qualified to level 3 already, and then do that. Okay.
Right.
And then you want a mentor who can just mentor the program. I'm just wanting somebody from the company who's going to take responsibility and ownership of this process for one engineer. I mean, I was talking to I don't know if you know Mark Woods. He used to be at Space. He now has his own company, and he's based in South. And I says, and he actually gave me a very, very good statement, comments. You know, because I taught him quite some time back. I was really touching what he said, and he's saying, you know, this is what the industry wants. There's pockets of areas where engineers can't get to colleges, or they haven't got the downtime.
Yeah, which is how I've experienced things myself over the years, from the very start to even now. If I wanted to do something, we just wouldn't send anybody to any college because they're too far away, it's too costly. It's just not worth it. We'd rather teach them ourselves our own way, which can be good, but not always. They're only learning what you know. So these sort of qualifications end up going out of the window, which is a shame, because I think these days there's so many things. I've done online courses as well. You know, I've done psychology and NLP and all sorts of things that interest me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
At the end of it, and you don't know everything.
No, and I don't know everything, Michael. I never profess to. All I would say is that with my exposure, the contacts, if I don't know an answer, and I'll say, look, I don't know it, and I will get back to you. Yeah, because there's always somebody who does know. They have different experiences. So what I'm saying, this is really getting some background evidence to know that the engineer is going to pass.
Well, yeah, and be suitable for it. That's right. Yeah,
suitable for it. And then what I'm saying is the system they've got to be working on practically, RSHP complex system types, because then the practical assignments should be done on any two of the systems or equipment below. Okay, this means that the candidates will have access to and worked on any two of the systems below. Okay, and this is out of Sitting Hills. This is out of Sitting Hills. So what it's saying is they can a multi-evaporator, minimum 3 indoor units, air conditioning system, VRF or multi-circuit system. So a lot of AC goes in with that anyway. And then you got a multi-evaporator, minimum 3 evaporator refrigeration system. It could be a supermarket, small convenience store. Okay. Then you got a multi-compressor, minimum 2 compressor refrigeration pack system. Not all of them, but they've got to be working or have worked on these types of systems to actually gather to do the assignments. A chilled water system with a minimum 3 fan coils, possibly, and a ducted air conditioning system with a minimum 4 air outlet terminals. I would probably favour that the first 3 is what's going to be quite common for all for all engineers. Yeah.
Can I just ask, why just not a single system?
Because it's a level 3.
Right.
It has to be a complex system.
I was going to ask, why does it keep saying complex when I was reading complex?
By complex means that it's not a single split, or it's not a single cold room with a single evaporator, single condenser unit. So it's saying it's going to be a complex system in the sense that you've got a condenser, condensing unit, and you've got 3 indoor units attached to it.
Yeah. Okay.
that's the complexity.
I get it now because I thought I know what complex means, and I was going to ask the question, and I thought I'm going to sound a fool, but I understand now what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the training and the tuition bit. I'm saying a schedule of 2-hour Zoom training sessions will be agreed as below. And I've actually got the date, 12-week Zoom sessions. I'm saying I'm looking to start Tuesday 7th of February through to Tuesday 2nd of May, and it's 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. I've taken out holidays, so we've got Easter in that as well, and half-term bits and pieces, just because I'm conscious that the people who are going to be doing this program are going to be family people, with responsibilities. So they want to go for Easter, they want to go half. So I've taken that bit into consideration as well, and not just you're going to work through Easter. Okay. And the other thing, it is flexible in the sense that that's my intimation at the moment, and it might change. Okay. So what they have to do as regards, there's an online multiple choice test, the 201, and the health and safety in RCHP industry. That's the involve online test, and that's 28 questions, multi-choice. It may transpire that we start off looking at this holistically, and it might transpire that everyone's close by. Yeah. So they could, for example, what would need to do the online test is a laptop. For example, if I do a lot of training up and down the country, and to do online tests, I've got a laptop which has got the platform on there. I'll go, in fact, in Hull, when I go up to Hull, in my hotel room, I'll hook up the computer, and then an engineer will come and do the test in a hotel room.
All right.
Yeah. Again, it's individuated. So there's that bit there. And then I'm thinking the assignments, okay? These assignments will be undertaken under the supervision of an assessor or expert witness, Chile Training Academy allocated team member where applicable. So there's got to be some sort of supervision. Can't be left on their own. Yeah. The practical assignments should be undertaken in the normal workplace of the candidate and the direct observation of Chile Training Academy through staff. It could be the assessor, we could say a supervisor or an expert witness. I'm thinking that someone who's competent and qualified can actually carry out the assessment. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the 501 health and safety practical task, it's online. Some of it's remote activity done remotely. Again, it needs to be a direct observation, and I'm looking at incorporated into the 303 and 304 practical assignments. So when they're doing the practical assignment for 303 and 304, then a lot of the health and safety aspects can be brought into that at the same time.
Yeah.
The 301 assignment, applying fundamental principles to our ICHP systems, that's an online and remote activity. So the tuition could be online, and it can be done remotely. Yeah, it could be in in an office, something like that. Again, there would need to be some. I have to look at the actual wording of it. Some of the wording says the engineer can do this assignment at home. Actually specify that somewhere. I'll have to clarify. But all I'm saying is that the assignments that can be done without supervision can be done in the home, in the workplace. Where the assignments need to be observed, then my thought process is actually to do it when an assessor is available. And the assessor goes out. Instead of the candidate coming to me or coming to the centre, we would go out to them. Yeah. Or more, I was speaking to Mark Woods earlier and said, Paul, if you had regional people who could support this, or competence, okay, then they could actually go and do the assessment on my behalf or on Chile's behalf, and they'd be assigned to us as a centre. So I can see that happening.
Yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah,
I think that makes it easier for people to want to do it. The fact that you either go out to them or they can do some at home online.
Yes.
And some in their own workplace. I think when it comes going to a college, even if it was reasonably local, I see that as a barrier because it'll be set times. It's like, I don't know,
exactly
all day Wednesday or whatever it happens to be. But something like this is more flexible and there's more.
Exactly what we do. I mean, what we do here. So last week, I'd arranged for an engineer to come in to do the cold room assessment. And they said, look, Paul, we're too busy this week. Can we do it next week? So I said, yeah. So he's going to come in next week. Another engineer's coming next week as well. I'd try and do it so that I can get all the engineers together if I can. But that said, even if I'm doing a one-to-one, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Happy with that. So the lads are coming in next week. Yeah. And they're not playing catch up because it's their qualification. You know, if they go to college and they've missed 4 weeks, they've missed that 4 weeks, they've missed the tuition.
Yeah. It's
gone.
That's right.
It's gone. And how do they get that back? They can't. They struggle.
Yeah.
So just moving on there. So that's the 301. The 302 assignments, complex RSHP systems, written assignments, and online remote activity. In fact, what this ought to be, that needs to be in. I tried to put colour coding. I said I was going to say the beige ones are the theory ones. Yeah, these assignments are theory, and then these green ones are practical. So 303 assignments, commissioning and troubleshooting complex RSHP systems. It's a practical assignment, online and remote activity for some tuition maybe, and direct observation in the workplace.
Right.
Yeah. 304, it's a written assignment, work planning organisation for RSHP system, written assignment, online and remote activity, because I can teach them on that bit. And then the 305 assignment, electrical power and control for RSHP systems. It's a practical one. Part of it's written assignment because there's a test in there. Yeah, there is a test. And then online remote activity, direct observation in the workplace.
Yeah.
On-site assessment visits. Okay. Sorry?
You got a spelling mistake.
I do apologise. Where is it? Tell me.
Oh, sorry. There's the second assignment. Yeah, that's it.
They should be not being there, should they? Good lads, thank you for that. I was doing this late last night for this meeting today.
It's easily done.
Excellent, thank you for that. So on-site assessments, visits were saying it is expected that each candidate will have at least 4 on-site assessment visits to carry out direct observation of the assignment tasks.
Right.
I think it's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. So those are my thoughts at the moment. And so I did speak. What I want to have a discussion about briefly, I know time is going on, is first of all, what do you think, in your opinion? And you're a good case because you know nothing about it, you know, which is nice.
I don't know. I know quite a bit about it now. I've picked up quite a few things there of
good.
Which I most of it I really like. I do relate it to my career, and some of it is I haven't been involved in. I've done multi-evaporators, very rare. Done multi, obviously aircon stuff. That's quite popular. Yeah. So yeah, there's certain bits in there when it says complex that I haven't done much of, or even water chilling. I've done very little. I have done water chilling, but not in the way you've got it on there.
Right. Okay.
Stellar calling, different applications. So yeah, I see the course looks very good. It looks very thorough.
Good.
Even without the online parts, or some of the on-site parts. Yeah, it's quite complex, and yeah, you should know most of that. I know most people that I've come across don't know it. And
appreciate it. That's where the training would come in, you know. And if we've got these regional guys or ladies, for that matter, I do like the idea what Mark said. I must admit, in the sense that he said, Paul, that people, you know, the industry's crying out for this. Yeah, crying out for it because they've got, you know, college got issues. There's a shortage of trainers out there, shortage of assessors, and he's saying if we had regions where, you know, I was working with key people, companies, then those companies could actually go out and do it, for, you know, on our behalf, like a partnership. Yeah, and I do like that. So my next thought is that I've actually been talking to people who are quite happy to help me deliver the Zoom sessions. In that sense, what I'm saying is it's not necessarily that I need to do all the Zoom lessons. For example, if we're talking about 3-phase motors, I've got people who could actually who can actually do the design bit, do that bit. I haven't got to do it all myself. Right. I've got, you know, 4 or 5 people I'm talking with, and they said, yeah, Paul, well, you know, we want to get involved. I'm looking at people who I can use, to go and do the practical assessments as well. The that side of it. And if I can get a cohort of trainers, like a group of us, I think that's the best way to go, away from college. Because obviously, if I say to my colleagues at colleges, can you help? They're too busy to do themselves, and this cuts across their business.
Yeah. I fully agree. It needs to be away from college.
Yes.
I mean, it needs to be easy because most things are easy, and people are used to things easy. People are used to using their phone for almost everything, including me.
Yes.
Everything you can do on the phone, I tend to do. All the business was used to be run on the phone. Everything's on there, and most people have got access to that smartphone. I mean, I've got a computer at home which we're on now, but I haven't used it for months because it's no use to me anymore.
Well, it will be now.
On the phone. Yeah, it will be on things like this because it's too small to use on the phone. But but what I'm saying is, they need it easy.
Yes.
And it's easy when you've got a Zoom meeting or an email.
Right.
It's on the computer or to the phone. It's easier than going out. So if you make it easy, I think that's the best thing you can do. And it obviously needs to be interesting as well. I do think that maybe there's a lot of self-employed engineers who work for themselves or just a pair of them. So when you come to getting permission from the employer or something, they're just saying, yes, I'll do it. So that
I have thought about, I'm asking for a testimony to see how good they are, their competence level existing. Now that could be, instead of it being a reference from the employer, if they're self-employed, it would be clients. So I'm just going to, so if we got this here, reference employer witness statement or client's statement.
That sounds good.
Client's feedback report.
Because obviously they should have that, because if you
client satisfaction report or something,
they must have some happy customers in 5 years that will verify
satisfaction.
Report. See it.
Statement. Okay, and the other beauty of this now, how I'm doing it, or how we're doing it, is this is being recorded now. And what I'll do is I'll actually put it up onto YouTube.
Okay.
And then I can put a link to, for example, whoever wants to see this, I'll have it up on YouTube with a link, and all I do, I send the engineer or the trainers the link, and they click on the link and they can watch it on YouTube. So they can actually they can watch this session that we've had on YouTube, and imagine this being a training session on, I don't know, commissioning refrigeration systems. Then it would be a discussion like this with bits and pieces, and then it'll be on YouTube, and I'll send them the link.
Okay.
Yeah. So they haven't got to take any notes, actually.
That sounds okay. Tell me one thing, Paul. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to be?
Okay. Two things.
In this,
I see you as supporting me delivering this eventually, and I also see you actually getting involved in doing the program yourself, learning from it.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I see it. So I see it twofold. One, you as a student or a candidate, and then also I see you helping me do this outside, delivering it. How do you see it? How do you see it going, or how would you like to see it going?
I'd like to help people on a mentoring sort of basis, which I've done with not just this industry, but other things as well within running businesses. I do like to watch people. I see how they work and guide them as I see would be the best way for them forward, so they do something better. I'm quite happy to do that sort of thing with something like this.
Okay.
As far as my knowledge or experience goes, I think I can be of use one way or the other. I'm personally not keen to take the course. Only because I don't feel I want to be tested.
Right. Okay.
I'd happily go through it. Well, I wouldn't happily go through. I'd go through it and do it. And
I mean, again, this is a barrier, isn't it? In the sense that no one likes to know how good they are. No one does. No one likes to be tested under formal conditions because that's going to tell them how good they are. Yeah. So I would urge you, Michael, to think about doing the program.
Right.
The reason being is the best way, if you've gone through the process, then you know what the people on the receiving end will get, if that makes sense. I'm not saying, I'm not forcing you to do it. All I'm saying is it would be a suggestion to pick out, so some of the stuff that you can do, you might say, well, okay, I can't do the practical bits, but I haven't got access to the equipment, fine. What you could do is you could do the bits that you can, the theory assignments, for example, and what you could do is you could just pick up one unit, the research one on companies and stuff like that, for example. That could be done.
Okay.
Yeah. And because if you go through even one assignment, then you got the process of how we deliver it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of people, they've come here for the F-gas qualification, and because what we've done has been unique and different, they've enjoyed it. They said, look, Paul, I want to get into teaching. What do we do? I said, well, you need to do your assessor award. And they come back and do the assessor award with us, and they've gone out and become assessors themselves.
Yeah. On a similar thing, completely different industry.
Yes.
I've done judo for a lot of my life. And
I know. I noticed that on your.
I gave it up about 5 years ago. It hurts. Hurts the joints too much. But yeah, I'm a qualified coach on that, and a level 2 Dan grade black belt. And I enjoy teaching seniors. I wasn't with the children because they're a nightmare. But seniors, it's good to watch them progress and pick up your skills as such.
Of course.
And it's good to see them progress and think, I had an input in that. I helped them get there. And a lot of them have thanked me for things they've done, especially when they've got up to Dan grade and they said, you helped me get that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
obviously that's all free of charge because you don't get paid in judo. You give up your evenings and train.
Oh, yes.
Same sort of thing. Obviously, it's just a completely different industry.
I mean, I totally endorse that in the sense that I want, and there's evidence. Obviously, I'm the trainer. I've taught I've taught a lot of people, and the people who are out there much better than I am. That's good. Yeah, because
better than you. There's always someone worse.
Yes. So I'm quite happy. I mean, I was very delighted. I don't know if you read the post on LinkedIn where Mark Woods gave me a testimony.
Yeah. I did see that.
And I'm over the moon about that because I'm thinking, well, then this is my student.
Yeah.
And I want him to get involved because I've been following his career. He's been following my career, obviously. And then I want to get him involved. And there's other people like that who would actually not jump on it, but look at this and say, yeah, this could work for me, themselves, if they haven't got level 3, or it would help my engineers.
Yeah.
I want to put them through the process. So at the moment, let's say it's not early days because as you can see, I've done a lot of backgrounds, thought process on this to take you forward. So it's up to you. I'd like to get you involved because of the location. Yeah, Carlisle. And you're miles away from me, which is great, which means that I've got some representation, formally or informally, to say, we can if we did this, I've got Michael COSHAM who can actually support that, support you there, and you could be a mentor for him.
Yeah.
No?
I'm happy with that. Just I'll go along with whatever you say, Paul.
Listen, I'm going to talk you into doing this program. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. I'd like to be involved somehow because I want to get a satisfaction that I've hopefully helped someone. I'm not so bothered about picking up things I've forgotten, because they're retired in that business. But it's always good to have the knowledge. I do like to learn stuff. I like to feel I know more than most. That's another feeling in whatever it is.
That's the fact that you are where you are, and you had business, you sold business, and you're still involved, which is testament to your capabilities and your pathway and all your strengths. And
Yeah.
I really want to build on your strengths and utilize those strengths. So those strengths, we can't technically inject them into the engineers, but certainly talking with you, communicating with you, your body language, all that helps to build them to become a better engineer.
Yeah.
So what I would say is, what I'd like you to take away from here is, I'm gonna put this onto YouTube.
Okay.
I'm going to email to you, possibly. In fact, I don't need to, because that sheet that we discussed is here anyway.
Yeah.
So these are the systems there, and that's probably a sheet that I need to look at. But thank you for the addition of the client bits and pieces and the spelling error. Happy with that.
Yeah, you still got
we make a good team altogether.
just what's this part that was covering English and maths? What was that?
Oh,
Obviously,
that was if you were doing an apprenticeship, per se, proper apprenticeship, with the government funded,
Right.
then you'd be doing an endpoint assessment process. That's the apprentice qualification now, the 60/90/50 EPA standard. Then to achieve or to get to make the gateway, the entry requirements to get onto the gateway for the EPA endpoint assessment is, you got your maths and your English. You need those passed. You need to get your FCAS passed as well, and also additionally they have to fill out what's known as an apprentice development journal. It's a bit like a logbook of all the jobs they do. In fact, there's 21 tasks that they have to do throughout the 3-year process in the workplace: compressor change, pressure test, reactive maintenance, electrical fault finding, installations, commissioning, decommissioning. It's prescribed, and they have evidence of that in a logbook, like a portfolio of evidence, and then that's the entry requirements.
Okay.
So you got maths and English level 2. You got the FCAS qualification, and we call it the Apprentice Development Journal, completed with relevant evidence to prove competence in the 7 tasks. 3 times should be.
Right.
Okay. So Michael, I mean, I could talk all day. Love it. I'm really, it's a pleasure to meet you. It really is. And I'm hopeful that we can take this further with your support. And I would just say, don't be scared to have a go.
All right.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, the situation is that like you, I hate being tested. I hate it. I do. I hate taking tests. I can remember doing my hydrocarbons City Guilds qualification. I actually had to go to Runcorn to be assessed by an assessor, and he put me through my paces, which is great. And it is the positive side of being tested is it's testament of where you are, what you know. I think you should just tip your toe in a little bit, and we can get you registered with City Guilds. Have a look at what assignments. In fact, you can do all the assignments. I know you can actually meet the requirements for the full qualification over time. I know you can that. I know you can do that. All I'm saying is that I want to take I want to take advice of you. I mean, you've got different strengths that I've got, and as a team, we can actually pull that together.
That sounds good to me. I'll go along with this, Paul.
Okay, we'll have a look at it. What I'm saying is, I know, and I do apologise if I think I've bombarded you with information. The beauty is that hopefully I'm always like this, very, very passionate, trying to get things across, and the fact that it's recorded, I can I'll put it onto YouTube. I'll send out a link to you, so you got it, and then my next point of call would be to actually those people that I've got earmarked to help me. I'm going to send out a link to this to them.
Okay.
So they can see it. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, Michael, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to have a coffee now. It's nearly lunchtime. You enjoy your weekend, and we'll probably meet. Talk next week. I mean, what I might do, this is on your mind, I might actually say, look, I've done a tutorial induction to the process with Michael, and just leave it at that. to get the ball rolling. Yeah, to get some, and I can say, you know, we have a YouTube induction video that they can see. Wouldn't that be great?
It would be. That sounds fun to me.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, and in fact, I might do that in the sense that I can say, you know, looking at this technical training 12-week program, you know, Michael and I have sat down, we've done an introduction, and then, you know, if anybody's interested, I can send out the link. Yes,
I'll go along with that, Paul. Just
Michael,
tell me,
you're a gent.
please,
You're
what
a
do you
gent.
have?
All right,
Well,
look after yourself. Cheers.
And
And the dog kept quiet. And my student hasn't turned up yet.
Silent.
Excellent. Michael, all right, good to see you. Look
Yeah,
after yourself.
Paul. Thanks
Cheers,
very much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.